everyone, welcome to Biophilia where you and me learn biology together. So before making concepts very clear with amazing photos, do like, share and subscribe to our amazing channel. So let us start today's video a bit differently. Let me ask you to guess क्या common है in between all these photographs. Can you see something common between all these photographs? You might be thinking on a right way, but let me tell you that is going to be our today's topic for this video, and that is the common point between these photographs. Yes, you might be right. It is going to be a very interesting study about the kingdom fungi. So today we are going to see about various types and different variety of fungi that is going to be discussed in this video. So stay till the end of the video to know a lot more about the kingdom fungi. So let's start and going deep into the world of fungi. So here let's understand a brief description about the kingdom. So ये kingdom में जो members है, how are they and what is the brief description? So we'll see it over here. तो first of all जो kingdom है वहाँ के members जो होते हैं they are going to be Achlorophyllous. That means they are not going to have any sort of chlorophyll pigment in them. They are going to have a eukaryotic type of cell and they are heterotrophic as they do not have chlorophyll, तो वो अपना खुद का खाना नहीं प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं, so they have to depend on some other type of food source, so they are heterotrophic. And for reproduction they are going to produce spores, so they are spore producing organism और उनकी body जो होती है it is not well defined into various structures, so you call that type of organism a thalloid organism. So that was a brief description, a comment point regarding the members of fungi. So the fungi kingdom is going to range from unicellular yeast. So can you identify from these photographs which is the photograph for unicellular yeast? Yes, you are right. This is going to be the unicellular yeast which comes under the kingdom fungi, as well as the highly complex edible mushrooms that you can see over here, until the non-edible toadstools which are going to be poisonous. So we are going to learn about each and everything in detail in this particular video. So kingdom fungi के अंदर जो members आते हैं they all are going to be cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan का क्या meaning होता है? They are going to be present each and everywhere. से अगर वो spores air में हो या you can find the spores in water, in soil or on other animals or even on plants. So there is no certain place where you don't find fungi. So you say that kingdom fungi के जो members हैं they are going to be cosmopolitan, found everywhere. And majorly they are going to be present in places where there is warmth, थोड़ी गर्माहट है और पानी का content अच्छा है, that is humid areas. So this is the favorite location of fungi where they like to grow, that is warm and humid areas. So let's get deeper into the study of fungi by learning more about them. So here we have some general characters that you need to know for kingdom fungi members. So fungi जो होते हैं, just now we discussed, they are going to be cosmopolitan organisms present everywhere, occurring in air, water, soil and plants and animals as well. So they favorite spot उनका कहाँ पे है? They like the favorite spot that is warm and humid areas. That is their favorite place to live in. Then body अगर type देखा जाए तो it is going to be a haploid type of body. उनकी body ज़्यादा different parts में divided नहीं होती है, so you call it a thalloid body. And it is a multicellular, but again multicellular there is going to be an exception जहाँ पे yeast जो होता है that is going to be a unicellular fungi, and syntrichium is also going to be a unicellular, so that is going to be an exception towards this particular multicellular point. अब body की हम जैसे बात कर रहे थे, so the body is going to be made up of a thread-like elongated tubular structures. So ये thread-like elongated tubular structures को बोलते हैं hyphae. So this is the word that you are going to see many times when you are going to go into details of fungi. So this is an important point that you need to remember in the further studies of it. अब हाइफी को अगर हमने समझो डायग्रामेटिकली रिप्रेजेंट करना हो तो दैट इज गोइंग टू बी अ थ्रेड लाइक लॉन्ग इलोंगेटेड ट्यूबुलर स्ट्रक्चर. सो दिस इज गोइंग टू बी हाइफी. अब अगर बहुत सारे हाइफी एक साथ ऐसे जाली जैसा बनाते हैं, मेनी ऑफ हाइफी कम टुगेदर एंड दे फॉर्म अ क्रिस क्रॉस पैटर्न. तो ये क्रिस क्रॉस पैटर्न को बोलते हैं माइसीलियम. सो दैट इज आवर नेक्स्ट पॉइंट टू रिमेंबर. दैट इज whenever hyphae are going to crisscross together over each other, they are going to form mycelium. So again mycelium term बहुत बार आएगा in future slides. So you need to remember the concept of hyphae as well as mycelium. अब जो hyphae था, that was the long elongated tubular structure that is going to have a cell wall. अब वो cell wall जो होती है that is going to be made up of chitin or it can be also made up of fungal cellulose. So जो cell wall होगी दो मटेरियल से हो सकती है, either it can be chitin or it can be fungal cellulose. बट मेजरली ये तो होते हैं, बट इन सम केसेस some fungi can also have cellulose in their cell wall, but most of the common material as cell wall is going to be chitin in fungi. अब रिजर्व फूड मटेरियल जो होगा दैट इज गोइंग टू बी स्टोर्ड इन फॉर्म ऑफ ऑयल एंड ग्लाइकोजन. सो दैट इज अगेन वन मोर पॉइंट दैट यू नीड टू रिमेंबर. और न्यूट्रिशन जो है दैट इज गोइंग टू बी हेट्रोट्रोपिक, बिकॉज ये किंगडम फंगी के जो मेंबर्स होते हैं देयर इज नो क्लोरोफिल पिगमेंट फाउंड इन देम, सो दे आर डिपेंडिंग ऑन सम अदर सोर्स, सो दे आर हेट्रोट्रोपिक. एंड हेट्रोट्रोपिक ऑर्गेनिजम्स में यू कैन से दैट दे कैन बी सैप्रोफाइट्स, दैट इज डेड एंड डिकेइंग ऑर्गेनिक मैटर पे सर्वाइव करेंगे. अदरवाइज दे कैन हैव पैरासिटिक मोड ऑफ लाइफ, or else they can have symbiotic life wherein they are in mutual relationship with some other person. So here in the diagram you can see that mushroom is going to be a fungi, in that there is going to be a group of mycelium which is going to be making up the mushroom. mycelium का भी एक छोटा part होगा hyphae, और hypha के और smaller part जो होगा that is going to be the cell wall. So that was the relationship between the mushroom till the cell wall level of that. So here you can see all the stuff going on from mushroom till the cell wall. Now let's get introduced ourselves to the reproduction of fungi. So reproduction of fungi जो होगा that is going to be a bit more detailed topic over here. So reproduction in fungi is going to occur by three major types, that is vegetative reproduction, asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So अगर vegetative reproduction की अगर knowledge gain करनी हो, so it can be by three methods, that is fission, fragmentation or it can occur by budding. वैसे ही asexual reproduction में it can be zoospore, sporangiospores, conidia, odia और chlamydospores. वैसे ही sexual reproduction can occur by oospores, ascospores and basidiospores. Now it is very important कि you get to know the difference between the asexual spores, that are 5. So asexual reproduction 5 तरीकों से हो, whereas sexual reproduction is going to occur by 3 spores. So you need to understand the difference between these two spores. If अगर asked to find the odd man out, तो you need to know the difference कि कौन सा स्पोर asexual होता है और कौन सा स्पोर sexual होता है. So that is going to be a one point to remember from this particular flow chart. Now let's understand the sexual phase of fungi. So sexual cycle जो होती है that is going to occur in three major steps. So first step होता है that is called as plasmogamy. अब plasmogamy क्या होता है, जैसे name को अगर break किया that is plasmo and gamy. So whenever there is going to be the union of protoplasm, जब भी protoplasm mix होंगे, fusion होगा, that is going to be called as plasmogamy. अब कौन से protoplasm का fusion होना है? So the protoplasm is going to come from two haploid hyphae. यानी hyphae क्या था? Hyphae was going to be making up the body of the fungi. So जैसे ही दो hyphae are going to come together and they need to be compatible. If they are compatible, then the fusion of protoplast will occur. So that would be called as plasmogamy. Second step होता है that is karyogamy. अब karyo word जो होता है that is used for the nucleus and gamy is fusion. So you can know the definition by the term that is fusion of two nuclei is going to take place. That is the second step, that is karyogamy. Or third step, that is the final step, जहाँ पे जो न्यूक्लियस फ्यूज हुए थे forming the diploid state, that needs to be reduced so that they can have haploid spores. So that is going to be achieved by the third step, that is meiosis. अब meiosis होने के लिए there needs to be a special structure formed that would be called as fruiting bodies. अब fruiting bodies के अंदर जब भी meiosis होगा, the haploid spores are going to be formed. Now here one point you have to know in detail, that is about plasmogamy. हमने बोल दिया protoplasm fuse होगा in the compatible gametes, but how is it going to happen? There are going to be different ways. In that we are going to see the types of plasmogamy. अब types of plasmogamy में we'll see them one by one in detail. So these are the 5 types of plasmogamy that can occur in fungi. So first is going to be planogametic copulation, gametangial contact or gametangial copulation. Fourth होगा spermatogamy and last is somatogamy. So let's see them one by one what they mean. First जो है that is planogametic copulation. So planogametic copulation के अंदर भी 3 variants आ सकते हैं. That is, you can see in the diagram. First is going to be isogamy, second is going to be anisogamy, and third is going to be oogamy. So that are the 3 subdivisions of the first type, that is a planogametic copulation. So difference क्या है? That is between the gametes that are going to fuse. अगर isogamy है, as the word iso, that means all the gametes that are fusing, the 2 gametes are going to be same size, shape, structure सब same होगा. And isogamy means there are going to be different types of gametes mixing together. That is depending on size or structure or components that are present inside them. और oogamy जो होता है, in that oogamy there is going to be one gamete, majorly female gamete होती है, that is immotile, and the second gamete, the male gamete, is going to be motile. But बाकी दो isogamy और anisogamy में both the gametes are generally motile. So अब planogametic copulation की अगर बात हो, so that type of plasmogamy is going to be the simplest form that is going to occur. And in that, again, as I told you, there are going to be 2 gametes that are going to be fusing, coming from the opposite strains of fungi. Majorly one needs to be compulsory motile, or in some cases both can be motile. So that was about planogametic copulation. Second is going to be about gametangial contact. So you can see in the figure that gametangial contact is by forming of a tube. So whenever 2 gametangia, that is 2 opposite strains of fungi, are going to come in contact and meant for fertilization, तो वहाँ पे fertilization tube form होगी, and with that fertilization tube the entire male content of the antheridium is going to be migrated from the male part into the female gametangia. So यहाँ पे motion कैसा होगा? So this is antheridium, that is going to be the male part, and oogonium जो होगा that is going to be the female part. So male part से female part में entire content of the male gamete is going to get transferred. Now whenever this type of plasmogamy is occurring, that is gametangial contact, जहाँ पे नाम है contact, that is they are going to have just connection, they are not going to fuse or they are not going to lose their identity. जैसे ही contact खत्म, the fertilization tube gets distant. At that time again the male and the female are going to live separately as they were earlier. But अगर वो अलग नहीं होता है, they are going to fuse together. That is the third type, that is gametangial copulation. अब यहाँ पे जो gametangial copulation है, in that case there is going to be direct fusion of the entire two gametangia. जैसे ही दो स्ट्रेन्स साथ में आएंगे, there is going to be dissolution of the common walls, और common walls dissolve होने की वजह से the entire content get mixed and that will form a single cell. So दोनों जो points थे, in that the different point is gametangial contact में identity is not lost, whereas in gametangial copulation there is going to be formation of one single cell. अब fourth type आता है, that is spermatogamy. In spermatogamy there is going to be production of minute spores, and these minute spores are going to be called as spermatia. और ये spermatia जो होते हैं, they are going to grow on some special stalk-like structures. These are called as spermatiophores. So whenever the term comes as phores, जैसे PHORES, this is going to mean the stalk. अब जैसे ये stalk पे spermatia grow हो रहे हैं, so that would be called as spermatiophores. Now these spermatia need to be transported up to the female gamete, so that transfer can occur by the means of water, wind, or even insects can transfer these spores up till the desired female gamete. लास्ट आता है, that is somatogamy. अब somatogamy जो होता है, that is going to be a method in which gamete formation is going to be absent. When there is no gamete formation, तब क्या होगा? In that process there is going to be fusion of somatic hyphal cell. So somatic hyphal cells, as you can see in the diagram, that here is going to be one hyphal cell, जहाँ पे बोल दिया प्राइमरी माइसीलियम, और यहाँ पे आ गया प्राइमरी माइसीलियम दैट इज नेगेटिव. तो एक हो गया नेगेटिव स्ट्रेन और एक हो गया पॉजिटिव स्ट्रेन. अब पॉजिटिव स्ट्रेन और नेगेटिव स्ट्रेन इज जस्ट बिकॉज टू डिफरेंशिएट बिटवीन देम, and once they get fused, so here is the fusion, here they get fused, और जैसे ही फ्यूज हो जाएंगे, what is going to happen? A secondary mycelium is going to be formed, and secondary mycelium में you can notice one special thing, that is एक सेल को अगर zoom किया जाए, so when you are going to zoom into one cell, you are going to find कि एक ही सेल में there are two nucleus, एक जो है full dot covered है और एक hollow है. So that condition is going to be called as dikaryon. What is this called? Dikaryon. जहाँ पे two nucleus do not get completely fused, they will remain as separate identities. So that would be called as dikaryon phase. So dikaryon phase का जो होता है structure, that is going to be seen by the somatogamy. So this was all about the plasmogamy and its types. So we'll see about the next topic now. अब next topic है, that is how the kingdom fungi is going to be separated into various subgroups on the basis of morphology of the mycelium, on the mode of spore formation, and finally third criteria होगा the fruiting bodies. So kingdom fungi को हम divide करते हैं into Phycomycetes, then we divide it into Ascomycetes, Basidiomycetes and Deuteromycetes. अब Phycomycetes को भी further divide कर सकते हैं on Oomycetes and Zygomycetes. So our study technique is going to be starting from Oomycetes, then Zygomycetes, Ascomycetes, Basidiomycetes and Deuteromycetes. So on that we will be completing each and every group of fungi in detail. So let's start with the first subgroup, that is Oomycetes. So Oomycetes is again known as algal fungi, उसका दूसरा नाम है. And in this algal fungi group, that is Oomycetes, the hyphal wall, hyphal क्या था, hypha जो था, that was a elongated tubular structure. So this hyphal wall is going to have cellulose and other glucans that is going to make up the hyphal wall. Now hypha जब बहुत सारे एक साथ आ जाते हैं, they cross over each other, then they form a mycelium. So अब mycelium का टाइप क्या होगा, mycelium का टाइप यहाँ पे होगा cenocytic. Cenocytic mycelium का क्या मीनिंग होता है, that is it is multinucleate, यानी एक ही सेल के अंदर there are going to be number of nucleus and they are aseptate. Aseptate का मीनिंग होता है there is no wall that is separating, there is no wall, और no wall होगी. So you can see in the figure 1 कि एक बड़ी सी हाइफी है. So here is your one hyphae, here is your second hyphae. बहुत सारे हाइफे मिला के mycelium बना रहे हैं, but in that there is no walls that are separating the nuclei. Nuclei सारे freely they are moving into the cytoplasm. So that type of hyphae will be called as cenocytic hyphae, जहाँ पे मल्टीन्यूक्लियर स्टेट और असेपरेट यानी वॉल्स सेपरेट नहीं करते हैं to the cells. Now these type of fungi that is coming under Oomycetes, they are going to have asexual reproduction by formation of sporangia. अब ये sporangia जो होते हैं in the aquatic forms, the sporangia would be producing zoospores. अब zoospores जो होते हैं they are going to have flagella, and this flagella is going to be helping these spores to move into the water to reach to the opposite gametangia. Now these zoospores that we saw are going to be found in the aquatic forms of fungi. They are going to have two laterally inserted flagella. So you can see in the figure 2 कि ये जो डायग्राम में ब्लू कलर्ड पार्ट है, दिस इज गोइंग टू बी द zoospore. Now this zoospore is going to have two types of flagella. जो फर्स्ट टाइप ऑफ फ्लैजेला होता है, इट इज गोइंग टू बी कॉल्ड एज whiplash flagella, और whiplash flagella है because it is going to be a smoother flagella. So as you can see in the diagram, whiplash flagella जो होता है it is a smooth flagella. Second flagella होता है that is called as tensile flagellum. Tensile flagellum जो होता है it is going to have fine outgrowths. So you can notice the fine outgrowths, and these fine outgrowths is going to differentiate the two types of flagella. और जब एक ही zoospore में दो flagella types मिलते हैं, you call that condition as heterocont. So two types of flagella मिलने पे बोलते हैं heterocont. So this is the condition found in zoospores. Now sexual reproduction कैसे होगा into Oomycetes? It can occur by planogametic fusion जो we have discussed in the previous slides, or it can occur by gametangial contact. Now whatever the product is going to be occurring after the sexual reproduction, in that is going to be the site for meiosis, क्योंकि sexual reproduction होगा, so there are two gametes or two hypha coming together. So एक hypha होगा haploid, second hypha होगा haploid. When they are going to fuse, that is going to give you a diploid state. अब ये diploid state is going to be different from the original parent body, so वहाँ पे meiosis होना ज़रूरी है. So whenever that meiosis is going to occur, that site is going to be the oospore. So this oospore is going to classify into Oomycetes. जो भी fungi में oospore बनेगा, so they will all come under the Oomycetes kingdom. Now let's understand some examples of fungi that come under the group of Oomycetes. So यहाँ पे first example है of Phycophthora infestans. Phycophthora infestans is a fungi that has caused a lot of diseases, that is late blight of potato. Late blight of potato एक ऐसा disease है that had been infected Ireland. Ireland में infect करके you must have read it about it in history, that was called as as Great Irish Famine. So this Great Irish Famine was caused because of this fungal growth, that is because causing the late blight of potato. So you can see in the photograph that is going to completely destroy the production of potato that had caused the Great Irish Famine. Second example है of Albugo candida. This Albugo candida fungus is going to cause a disease that is called as white rust of crucifers. So white rust of crucifers, आप कैसे identify करोगे that you will have irregular white blisters, and these blisters can be found on leaves or on stem. So one example of crucifers is cabbage. So you can see in the figures down here, you can see some white spots. So these white spots are nothing but the irregular blisters that are going to be found onto the leaves and the stem. That is nothing but the fungal growth of Albugo candida. So again that is going to destroy the entire production of crucifers. So again it is damaging for the economy. Third example है that is Pythenium muddicaribum. So this fungus is going to cause the damping of disease in seedling, and damping of disease जो होता है that is generally seen in the seedlings of tomato, chili, castor and mustard. So exactly क्या होता है अगर normal condition होगी, so in normal conditions what is going to happen, this is the normal condition. So normal condition में there is going to be upright stem. So as you can see the upright stem, but जैसे ही this fungus is going to cause damping of disease, the stem is going to turn itself, और जैसे ही टर्न हो जाएगा it will start to grow again underground. जैसे ही underground ये grow करना शुरू करेगा it is going to die, and again that is a problem for the farmers because it is not going to help in the growth of the plant. वो young stage seedling stage में ही it is going to destroy the entire production of the field. Fourth जो Oomycetes का जो fungi है that is going to cause the downy mildew of cereals. Downy mildew एक disease है that is going to occur in bajra, so you call it as green ear disease. So again you can see in these photographs which you can see very clearly that this disease is going to entirely destroy the crop. जैसे normal condition में the bajra is going to be having cereals onto it, but affected case में it is going to cause a green ear disease जहाँ पे the production of the bajra is not going to occur. So again there is a loss for the farmers. Fifth जो है that is Perinomaspora parasitica. This fungus is going to cause the downy mildew in pea, mustard, spinach and onion. And now can again see how this downy mildew occurs in different types of plants. So these photographs can show you the fungal growth on the leaves of these plants. Last जो है that is sporangia, that is going to cause the salmon's disease of gills in fishes. So fishes के gills में, so these photographs show you the gills of salmon. So when these gills get affected by the fungi, they are going to get perforated, and because of that there is going to be the salmon's disease of gills in fishes. Now let's see the second group of fungi, that is Zygomycetes. Zygomycetes को conjugation fungi भी बोला जाता है. So let's understand the details about these group. So hyphal wall जो होता है that is going to be made up of chitin, or it can be made up of fungal cellulose. Mycelium, that was the group of crisscross hyphae, that is going to be again cenocytic, or cenocytic meaning we had just seen in the previous group, that is multicellular aseptate condition, that is wall formation separating the nuclei condition नहीं होगी, every nuclei would be roaming freely into the cells. अब मोटाइल स्ट्रक्चर्स जैसे जूस्पोर्स हो गए या प्लानोगैमेट्स हो गए, मोटाइल सेल्स जो है दे आर नॉट गोइंग टू बी प्रेजेंट इन ज़ाइगोमाइसीटीज ग्रुप्स. इंस्टेड ऑफ दैट दे वुड हैव स्पोरेंजियोस्पोर्स, और ये जो स्पोरेंजियोस्पोर्स होते हैं दे आर गोइंग टू बी द नॉन मोटाइल स्पोर्स ऑफ ज़ाइगोमाइसीटीज. Sexual reproduction in Zygomycetes can occur with the help of gametangial contact, or it can be occurring by gametangial conjugation. Now, because of the sexual reproduction generally they follow, that is gametangial conjugation, that is the reason the Zygomycetes group is also called as conjugation fungi. अब जो सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन के बाद का जो प्रोडक्ट आएगा दैट इज गोइंग टू बी zygospore. So after sexual reproduction the zygospore would be formed, that is going to be the site of meiosis, and that is a resting diploid spore. So this zygospore has given the name of the group, that is Zygomycetes. So zygospore के ऊपर से नाम दिया Zygomycetes. अब ये हमने अभी देखा that zygospore is a resting diploid spore. अब resting diploid spore है यानी what is going to be the difference? The difference is it is not going to give rise to new mycelium. वो नया माइसीलियम बना के न्यू ऑफस्प्रिंग या न्यू फंगी का ग्रोथ नहीं कराएगा. इंस्टेड ऑफ दैट इट इज गोइंग टू प्रोड्यूस अ जर्म स्पोरेंजिया. जर्म स्पोरेंजिया क्या होता है? जर्म स्पोरेंजिया इज गोइंग टू बी अ पार्ट ऑफ फंगी दैट इज गोइंग टू फॉर्म स्पोर्स. So germ spores जैसे ही बनेंगे that would be collected in this germ sporangia, that is a pouch like structure जहाँ पे spores बनेंगे, and because of overcrowding of the spores this germ sporangium is going to burst and that would release all the germ pores, and when these germ spores germinate the new mycelium of this Zygomycetes group is going to be formed. Now sometimes in sexual reproduction what happens, the gametangia fail to fuse. Sexual reproduction की कोशिश थी but gametangia could not fuse, and when there is no fusion there is going to be formation of a thick wall, and when this thick wall will be formed across the structure that would be having called as a zygospore. So again here is a term that you need to remember, that is a zygospore. So here you have to know about the examples of Zygomycetes. So Zygomycetes में first example है that is Rhizopus stolanifer. This is also called as black bread mold because जब ये fungus bread पे grow होती है the entire bread part looks blackish in color. और वो blackish क्यों दिखता है? Because you can see in the photograph down here जो black color के जो spots है, so these spots are going to be accumulated at a very small tiny space. So pura ka pura bread, once it grows this rhizopus fungi, the entire part of the bread would be covered and looking black, so that you can say that rhizopus has been growing onto this bread and you throw it away. So that is the black bread mold. सेकेंड एग्जाम्पल है म्यूकर म्यूसिडो. म्यूकर म्यूसिडो जो है उसको डंग या पिन मोल्ड भी बोलते हैं. सो यू कैन सी द फोटोग्राफ हाउ म्यूकर म्यूसिडो लुक्स. सो म्यूकर म्यूसिडो एक स्पीशीज है फ्रॉम द जीनस म्यूकर. वैसे ही म्यूकर जीनस से और दो स्पीशीज है एंड दे विल बी हैविंग डिफरेंट प्रॉपर्टीज क्योंकि स्पीशीज चेंज हो जाती है. सो दिस species that is Mucor ramineus, that is going to be used for preparing the ramycin, that is an antibiotic. Another species of Mucor genus is going to infect the internal organs in the humans. So again एक help कर रहा है to make antibiotics, and other two species that we saw are not good or they are causing damage for humans. सो यहाँ पे और एक चीज हमें देखनी है, that is regarding rhizopus. So one rhizopus species is going to cause the soft rot or called as the leeks disease. So soft rot या leeks disease जो होती है that is found in strawberries, or it can occur in apples, jackfruit or sweet potatoes. So what happens is whenever this fungi grows onto these fruits, they are going to cause them to rot, वो सड़ जाएंगे और soft parts बनाएंगे. So you can see in the photographs down how the production of fruit is affected with the growth of these type of Zygomycetes. Last example है about Asbestia, and this fungi is going to cause bronchomycosis. A broncho word is related to the respiratory system जहाँ पे bronchi आते हैं, and mycosis, so word myco is going to refer to fungi. So whenever a fungi is infecting the bronchi of the respiratory system, यानी जो भी infection होगा in the respiratory system, that can be caused by this particular Zygomycetes. Now let's see about the third group of kingdom fungi, that is Ascomycetes. Ascomycetes को sac fungi भी बोलते हैं. So here you have to notice one thing कि जब भी आप kingdom fungi के बारे में पढ़ रहे हो, you should have a criteria to remember all types of common names. जैसे यहाँ पे हमने Ascomycetes को sac fungi बोला, Zygomycetes को we call it conjugation fungi, या Oomycetes को we called the algal fungi. So you need to remember about the common names of the fungi. You need to remember about how their hypha or mycelium is there. Third, you have to remember about asexual reproduction, you have to remember about their sexual reproduction, and you have to remember their examples. क्योंकि examples याद होंगे and then only you can know that which fungi group is going to have what names. So you have to remember these certain points regarding all the groups of kingdom fungi so that you can make a differentiating table and see them all in one go. So let's see about Ascomycetes here. So Ascomycetes के जो mycelium होता है, that is going to be a different type than what we have studied till now. It is going to be a septate hyphae. Septate hyphae है यानी what? That is going to be a septate hyphae, means you can see in the figure over here. Septate है यानी there is going to be cell walls, or there is going to be walls that are going to separate, और वो walls जो होती है they are going to be called as septum. So these septums are going to separate and place the nucleus in their fixed positions. So ये septum के growth की वजह से you call that particular hyphae as septate hyphae. But exception again prevails over here as well. Exception होगा unicellular fungi, that is yeast. अब unicellular में एक ही fungus के अंदर एक ही nucleus होगा, so there is no need of any sort of septum over there. Now let's see about the cell wall. So cell wall is going to be made up of chitin, और यहाँ पे भी Zygomycetes की तरह कोई भी motile structures नहीं होंगे, so all the motile structures would be absent. Regarding asexual reproduction, there is going to be formation of conidia on the conidiospore. So conidia is again a asexual spore that you need to remember. So conidia, the asexual spore that is going to grow on the conidiospore. Spore का meaning we have understood, it is the stalk wherein some sort of organ grow. So अब conidia जहाँ पे जो stalk पे it is going to grow, that would be called as conidiospore. So in this diagram you can locate the various types, जहाँ पे you can locate conidia as well. So जहाँ पे भी conidia grow होंगे on that stalk, that is going to be the conidiospore. Now one thing you need to remember that conidia is going to grow openly, then यहाँ पे कोई pouch like structure के अंदर वो grow नहीं होगा, it is going to grow exogenously. Now what does the word exogenously mean? कि वो sac के अंदर बंद होके grow नहीं होगा, it will grow one over the other. So you have to remember this particular word very clearly about asexual reproduction in Ascomycetes. That is, the conidia are going to grow exogenously. So this is one important point to remember. अब asexual reproduction जहाँ पे conidia grow हो रहे हैं, that examples can be penicillium और aspergillus. अभी sexual reproduction के अंदर the second step, that is karyogamy. So this karyogamy is going to be delayed. Delayed हो रही है मतलब क्या होने वाला है? Suddenly, after the fusion of protoplasm, the nucleus are not going to fuse. अब nucleus अगर फटाफट से फ्यूज नहीं होंगे तो क्या होगा? एक ही सेल के अंदर दो न्यूक्लियस दिखेंगे. And whenever one cell having two nucleus is found, you call it a dikaryophase. So again, this is a very important point that you need to remember about in Ascomycetes. That is, dikaryophase is going to be seen जहाँ पे एक ही न्यूक्लियस के एक ही सेल के अंदर दो न्यूक्लियस दिखेंगे. सो इमेजिन दिस टू बी योर वन सेल. सो जैसे ही प्लाज्मोगैमी होगी, दो न्यूक्लियस अलग अलग दिखेंगे. सो रिप्रेजेंटिंग इट, वन न्यूक्लियस बाय रेड कलर, वन न्यूक्लियस बाय ग्रीन कलर. सो ये दो न्यूक्लियस अलग अलग एक ही सेल में दिखेंगे. देन दैट इज गोइंग टू बी कॉल्ड एज अ डाइकैरियोफेज. So this is your dikaryophase. अब जैसे यहाँ पे we defined it, so diagrammatically we have told you. But in Ascomycetes, ये dikaryophase का जो production और the occurrence जो होती है, that is going to be on a shorter part. वो बहुत देर तक नहीं दिखेगी in Ascomycetes, but as the fungus advances, जब हम Basidiomycetes के बारे में पढ़ेंगे, this dikaryon phase is going to be a bit more prominent. वो ज़्यादा देर तक दिखेगा. But in Ascomycetes, it is on a shorter part of the life cycle. अब और एक पार्ट हमें याद रखना है, that is ascus. अभी ascus क्या होता है? Ascus is going to be a sporangial sac. And this sporangial sac is going to be formed because of the ascus mother cells. अब ascus mother cells जब divide करके एक sac बनाते हैं, that is going to be called as the ascus. अब एक ascus जब divide करेगा by meiosis, it is going to form 4 to 8 types, 4 to 8 haploid ascospores, and these 4 to 8 ascospores are going to be produced endogenously in each ascus. अब यहाँ पे बहुत मेजर पॉइंट्स हमें याद रखने हैं about this Ascomycetes. So one of them is going to be 4 to 8 ascospores going to be produced endogenously. अब यहाँ पे एक समरी जैसा बना लेते हैं, wherein you are going to note down each and every point that is in detail. पहली बात, asexual reproduction जब भी होगा in Ascomycetes, it is going to occur because of conidia. So conidia are the asexual spores, और conidia जो होंगे they would be exogenously formed, यानी वो किसी sac के अंदर बंद नहीं होंगे. Whereas whenever there is a sexual reproduction occurring, तो sexual reproduction जो होगा that is occurring because of ascospores, और ascospores की वजह से ही नाम पड़ा है Ascomycetes. So these ascospores are going to be haploid in condition, और वो कितने बनेंगे? They are going to be 4 to 8 in number. और वो कैसे बनेंगे? They will be endogenously made inside the ascus. So that was a little summary of the entire slide that you need to remember, because This part is very important क्योंकि questions हमेशा यही difference पे आते हैं and many people get confused whether conidia was a asexual spore or a sexual spore. So this little blue colored chart is going to be very important for your studies. Now let's understand some examples of Ascomycetes. So first example यहाँ पे हम देखेंगे that is Neurospora crassa. So Neurospora crassa is also called as the pink bread mold. So you might remember one more bread mold, that was the black bread mold. और black bread mold कौन सा था? Rhizopus था. That was coming under Zygomycetes. So whenever you start studying about the examples, you need to relate and try to remember that which fungi belonged to which group, whether it was Oomycetes, Zygomycetes, Ascomycetes or Basidium. You have to remember each and every example with its group. So here we are looking about Neurospora crassa, that is coming from group Ascomycetes. अब न्यूरोस्पोरा crassa जो है, it is also called as Drosophila of the plant kingdom. अब Drosophila of the plant kingdom क्यों बोलते हैं? Because many scientists have used Neurospora crassa for biochemical and genetic work. अब इस पे इतना research हुआ है that like Drosophila, which is an insect which is used for again genetic work, तो न्यूरोस्पोरा भी यूज हुआ है. So they both are compared as and named Drosophila of the plant kingdom. Second example we are going to see, that is Claviceps purpura. Claviceps purpura is going to cause a condition that is called as ergot of rye. This ergot of rye condition is going to infect the cereals, और जैसे ही cereals infect होंगे there is going to be production of ergotin. Ergotin जब भी produce होगा, that is going to be a poisonous kind of secretion that can cause abortion if it is consumed, and because of that reason it is also used for promoting expulsion of fetus. So for expulsion of fetus, this ergotin is used, that is produced by the infected cereals because of Claviceps purpura. So you can see अगर infection हो जाए in cereals, so you can notice in the diagram कि black color का change आ जाता है in the color of the cereals, so that are poisonous. So you have to avoid these type of cereals if you see them. Next example is going to be a very well known example, that is penicillium. Penicillium जो है, that is going to have different types of species. So penicillium is a genus, you need to remember. जो penicillium है, that is a genus, उसके various specific epithets होंगे that would be having different functions. So here we have three major species of penicillium genus. So first is penicillium notatum. So penicillium notatum was used for having the first antibiotic. So first antibiotic कौन से group से हुआ था? So you need to remember it was from Ascomycetes. So you can have questions like that. Second is going to be about Penicillium rotifort. Rotifort is going to be used for ripening and giving a particular taste, and that is going to be the rotifort cheese. So यहाँ पे second जो figure है, so this second figure is going to be of rotifort cheese. So rotifort cheese में जो black color के spots है, that is going to be because of the fungal growth of Penicillium rotifort. फिर जो और एक है species, that is Cambarti. Again this is going to be giving the perfect taste of the Cambarti cheese. So Cambarti cheese you can see in this particular figure. So जो difference है in the color, so one part is yellowish in color, so that is the Cambarti cheese, but on the cheese there is going to be white fungal growth. So the white fungal growth is going to be because of Penicillium cambarti. A penicillium जो है, it is also called as blue or green mold. So that is just a name that you need to remember. और एक हमें याद रखना है about penicillium notatum especially, that since it was the first antibiotic which was introduced to the world during the Second World War, penicillium is also called as wonder drug. So agar any time if you see the question regarding wonder drug, so you need to remember or link it to penicillin. So penicillin was called as the wonder drug, then you need to remember. Next is about morels. Morels जो होते हैं, they are called as sponge mushrooms. They are going to have edible ascocarps. Ascocarps होते हैं that are going to produce ascospores. So these ascocarps are going to be edible. People enjoy it as a delicious delicacy. So these morels are going to have a conical cap and a stalk which is going to be eatable part of this fungi. वैसे ही और एक edible mushroom होता है that is called as truffles. So even people enjoy the food with truffles. Again it is going to be a fungi that is going to come from the group Ascomycetes. So truffles are going to have edible tuber ascocarps जो लोग खाना पसंद करते हैं because of their taste. Next is aspergillus. Aspergillus is going to be called as weed of laboratory because जहाँ पे भी अगर खुला छोड़ जाए कोई भी sample, so this aspergillus fungi is going to grow and it is going to contaminate the entire samples. So because of that it is going to be called as the weed of laboratory, and it can also be called as the guinea pig of the plant kingdom. Aspergillus के लिए दो नाम you have to remember, that is weed of laboratory and guinea pig of plant kingdom. So you have to remember many things on this kingdom fungi. So it's better if you be in touch with this kingdom every time in few days, in few spans of days, क्योंकि इतने सारे चीज़ें आपको याद रखनी. There are many common names, many scientific names and their groups, so that is going to be a bit tough time, but once you get used to it, it is going to be a very easy going chapter. So you can make a flow chart, you can make different notes wherein you compile all the examples with their common names. जैसे aspergillus को we called it weed of laboratory. So whenever there is a question and that is a direct question, you can get your marks very easily. जैसे पूछ लिया who is called the Drosophila of the plant kingdom. So you should immediately remember the Drosophila of plant kingdom is going to be Neurospora crassa. So that immediate response should come as you go on with detailed study and regular practice with this kingdom fungi. So let's see the seventh example of Ascomycetes, that is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So this might sound a very similar name to you. So Saccharomyces cerevisiae is the name for yeast. So yeast is used in bakery industry, bread बनाने के लिए, cake बनाने के लिए. You can use this yeast for fluffing up things. Then it can also be used in brewing industries जहाँ पे alcohol production होगा. So there also this Ascomycetes fungi yeast is going to be used, and उसका एक special cute सा नाम भी है, that is sugar fungi. So again many other names for the fungi that you need to remember over here. Last example of Ascomycetes is the fungi name, that is Gibberella fugicori. Gibberella fugicori is going to be a fungi that is going to be helping you to find out the natural plant hormone. तो यही fungus था जहाँ से the first plant hormone मिला था, that was gibberellins. You might have heard about gibberellins in your lower classes, that gibberellins is going to be a plant hormone that is going to help in the stem elongation. So जब Gibberella fugicori grow होता है mainly on rice, it was found rice plant में जब ये grow होता है, then it is causing a disease that is called as Bacillin disease of rice. So what happens is this part is going to be the healthy rice part. ये healthy rice है जहाँ पे stem height you can notice is going to be a bit shorter, but whenever the plant is infected, in this case the infected plant is going to have a taller stem height, and that is because of extra production of plant hormone gibberellins by this particular Ascomycetes fungi. So these were the 8 examples that are commonly seen in exams. So the detailed note about all these examples over here. Next, understand about the fourth group, that is Basidiomycetes. Basidiomycetes को club fungi भी बोलते हैं. So let's understand the details about it. So Basidiomycetes जो है, that is going to be the most advanced and the most commonly seen fungi. So whatever fungi you may commonly seen, this mushrooms that you love to enjoy in your food. So many people who like mushrooms, they must know that it is going to be a fungi that comes under the Basidiomycetes. So mushrooms, now let's understand Basidiomycetes with the help of mushrooms. You might have seen mushrooms oftenly. So mushrooms जो होते हैं, the puffy appearance is nothing but because of the fructifications. So fructifications यानी fruiting bodies जिसका other name होता है, it is going to be large and conspicuous. Now you can see in the diagram over here that how the large and conspicuous fructifications occur in mushroom, in toadstools, in puffballs and in bracket fungi. So ये सारे fructifications जो होते हैं, that is going to be grouped under one group, that is Basidiomycetes. Basidiomycetes को ऐसे मानते हैं कि they are going to be the best decomposers of wood, and they are called as best decomposers because they can even digest lignin. So lignin is considered to be one of the hard substances. So even Basidiomycetes member can decompose lignin. Next you have to remember जो mycelium होता है it is going to be branched and septate, यानी nucleus separate होंगे with the help of septum. Now here a very important point, that is vegetative propagation or vegetative reproduction is going to be seen in Basidiomycetes, that occurs by fragmentation. So this is a new point that you need to remember about Basidiomycetes. So this is important कि fragmentation से भी reproduction होता है in this particular group. Another important point that you need to remember, that is asexual spores are not found in this particular group. So asexual spores जैसे Ascomycetes में conidia थे, but in Basidiomycetes there are no asexual spores found. Now mycelia जो होते हैं, there are going to be two types of mycelium. The first is going to be called the primary mycelium. Primary mycelium जो होता है, वहाँ पे you are going to see the cells that are monokaryotic. So let's break the word and understand the meaning out of it. Mono यानी one, karyo means nuclei. So whenever there is going to be one nucleus in one cell, it is monokaryotic. So monokaryotic cells is going to be present, that is going to make up the short-lived phase of the primary mycelium. अब secondary mycelium जो होता है, it is going to be a long and a dominant phase of life जो बहुत देर तक नजर आती है, and it is going to be represented by the dikaryophase. So dikaryophase, you might remember it by this particular diagram, जहाँ पे दो nucleus होते हैं and they are not going to fuse together, but they will have their independent identity in one single cell. So जैसे ही ये dikaryophase आता है, after some time there is going to be karyogamy taking place and meiosis will occur, and that will give you a club shaped basidia. अब club shaped basidia जो होता है, ये basidia arrange होंगे to form basidiocarps. And when these basidiocarps come together, they are going to produce 4 basidiospores. So again, a very important point to remember, that is 4 basidiospores are going to be produced exogenously. So this point is again very important to remember. So again you can make a flowchart, that is asexual spores are going to be absent, वो तो नहीं होगा. So asexual spores की जगह पे क्या आएगा, vegetative reproduction is going to come, that is going to occur because of fragmentation. And regarding sexual phase, there is going to be production of basidiospores. So ये जो basidiospores form होते हैं, they are going to be 4 in number. जबकि अगर Zygomycetes से compare किया जाए, so they were 4 to 8 in number. But basidiospores are going to be 4 in number. So this had been a question asked in MCQs, so you need to focus and give extra point to remember about it. So जो 4 basidiospores बनते हैं, they are exogenously produced. And if you remember about Ascomycetes, तो Ascomycetes में जो sexual phase था, that was producing ascospores, they were endogenously produced. But basidiospores are going to be exogenously produced, और exo का meaning होता है out. So this is one of the difference that you need to remember about Basidiomycetes and Ascomycetes in their vegetative, asexual and sexual spores. So that can be a helpful point to remember and solve MCQs very easily. Now let's see about some examples of Basidiomycetes. So Basidiomycetes, my first example that we'll see is Agaricus. So Agaricus is going to be commonly called or known as mushroom. It is going to have an edible umbrella shaped basidiocarp. So the bulging part that you eat is going to be the basidiocarp, that is edible in the case of agaricus. Second example है toadstools. So toadstool is related to a very cartoon movie or cartoon story, that is Alice in Wonderland. So you might have heard about Alice in Wonderland. So Alice in Wonderland में जो red colored mushrooms दिखते थे, they were nothing but toadstools. So you can see in the figure right over here. So the mushrooms that have red color or bright colors with white spots, they are going to be the poisonous toadstools. You cannot eat toadstools, but they look very attractive, so people get confused. So these are poisonous toadstools related to a story Alice in Wonderland. अब यहाँ पे और एक फिगर है, this one. So this second figure is going to be a toadstool, which is called as a Caesar's mushroom. Now why is it called as a Caesar's mushroom? The reason is because it is believed that this was the particular mushroom that had caused the death of the Emperor Caesar. So you might have heard him in history lectures, जो Caesar था, that king was killed using this mushroom's poison. So he was fed this mushroom, और जैसे ही उसको ये mushroom खिलाया गया, so he died because of the poisonous toadstools. So the people named this mushroom behind his name as Caesar's mushroom. So you might get a question, Caesar's mushroom belongs to which particular group of fungi? So it is going to belong to Basidiomycetes. So just for your extra information, I have mentioned it over here. Next is going to be about Ostilago. Ostilago is going to be called as smut, and this is a NCRT point, and you need to remember it as it is because NCRT points are very important. So Ostilago is important, that is smut. Then agaricus is going to be an important point because it is mentioned in NCERT. So there is a high chance that questions can arise from these examples. So यूस्टिलागो जिसको स्मट भी बोलते हैं, it is going to infect corn, barley, wheat and oat. So you can see how the funguses grow onto different crops and they are going to damage the production. So you don't want the damaged food items. So it's advisable to keep the funguses out of reach. So funguses को भगाने के लिए और to reduce the chances of production of fungus, what do? You are going to refrigerate things. When you refrigerate, fridge में जब भी you place food, what is going to happen? The temperature is going to lower down, and whenever the temperature lower down, the life survival rate is going to decrease. So temperature जब कम होता है, fungus is not able to grow, and because of that you keep the leftover food items inside the fridge or in cool places. So next example is going to be about Puccinia. Again, it is going to be a NCERT example about Basidiomycetes. So it is an important example. So जो Puccinia है, that is called as the rust. It is going to be having separate species, that is Puccinia graminis triticii, which is also called as the black rust of wheat. So you can see in the figure down over here that how the fungus grow for causing black rust of wheat. अब यहाँ पे और एक diagram है adjacent to it, that is regarding the yellowing of the leaves. So you can see this particular leaf is going to be green in color, but यहाँ पे जो leaf है that is going to be yellowed, and this is because of another species of genus Puccinia that is causing yellow rust of wheat. So there is one species causing black rust of wheat, second species or another species causing yellow rust of wheat. Next is going to be about the honey mushrooms. So honey mushrooms को largest fungi भी बोलते हैं, and it is going to be a root parasite. So roots में it is going to grow its hyphae and absorb all the nutrition from it, and वो इतना ज़्यादा mycelium फैल जाता है that the entire ट्रांसपोर्ट सिस्टम यानी xylary elements जो होते हैं, all the water transport is going to be blocked and entirely wood, hardwood trees जो होते हैं या conifers होते हैं, they are entirely going to die because of this infection of the honey mushrooms, that is a root parasite. So you can see the photograph of honey mushrooms. Next example is going to be the dead man's finger. Dead man fingers को stinkhorn भी बोलते हैं. It is going to be a Basidiomycetes which is going to be called as stinkhorn, क्योंकि जब ये मशरूम के पास जाते हैं it is going to have a stinking odor, and because of that foul odor it is going to attract the flies for pollination or some other reasons, and that is going to be called as stinkhorn. But when they grow in groups, so they seem to be like dead man's finger. So generally वो graveyards में उगते हैं or places where there are dead bodies, so people gave it a name as dead man's finger. And next is about puffballs. So puffballs is, you can see in the photographs down here, they are going to be the puffy appearing Basidiomycetes fungi which are going to release their spores in puffs. So their name, the puffballs. Next is going to be the bracket fungi, or you call it as shelf fungi. Again इनके जो basidiocarps होते हैं, तो basidiocarps ऐसे arrange होते हैं on trees and logs that they appear to have a bracket or appear to be having a shelf on the tree. So they are called as shelf fungi. Next is the tooth fungi or the hedgehog fungi. So उनके जो बेसिडियोकार्प होते हैं उनके नीचे टूथ लाइक स्ट्रक्चर्स ग्रो हो जाते हैं, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट रीजन दे आर कॉल्ड एज टूथ फंगाई. Next example is bird's nest fungi. So bird's nest fungi, as you can see in the photograph, it is evitable. The name वैसे दिखते हैं, so the name. Now the criteria behind showing you all these examples was to understand that which name comes from which group. जैसे अगर एग्जाम में अगर आपको दिख जाए कि bracket fungi या shelf fungi is belonging to which group of fungi, so you should not have any sort of confusion or knowing, मतलब आपको ऐसा नयापन नहीं लगना चाहिए. So I have tried to include all the examples that have been occurring in the exams, so that would be a helpful point for you, and the photographs of course are going to give you a better idea, and image will help you to understand and remember the names. And interesting photographs say you can develop a photographic memory, so it makes the study more interesting. So whenever you are trying to remember something, do try to make diagrams or do try to search photographs regarding it, so you can get some interest on it and you will remember it for a longer period of time. So again, that is a bonus point for your study tips. The last group of fungi is going to be Deuteromycetes, which is also called as the fungi imperfecti. अब fungi imperfecti ऐसा क्यों बोलते हैं, we will get to know from the points given below here. So first let's understand why they are called fungi imperfecti. The reason behind it is Deuteromycetes में जो भी fungi involve होते हैं, they are going to have only a sexual or vegetative phase of their life. उनके पास sexual reproduction नहीं होता है, and because they do not have sexual reproduction, they are called as fungi imperfecti. So asexual spores जो होते हैं, they are going to be conidia, as you even saw them in Ascomycetes. वैसे ही Deuteromycetes में भी conidia are going to be the asexual spores. Mycelium जो होगा as Ascomycetes, Basidiomycetes, even Deuteromycetes is going to be having mycelium that is septate and branched. अब Deuteromycetes के जो fungi होते हैं, they are going to be saprophytes, that is they will be on dead and decaying organic matter, or in some cases they can be parasites, but in majority they are going to be decomposers, because of which they are decomposing materials. They are going to be helpful in mineral cycling. So soil में जो भी organic matter होगा, they will decompose the litter and make the soil rich in minerals. So examples of Deuteromycetes involve Alternaria, Colchitrichum and Trichoderma. Now here is a very important example, that is Trichoderma. जो Trichoderma है, it is going to be the Deuteromycetes fungi which is used as biofertilizers. So you might have known about the problems about using fertilizers and pesticides, insecticides. So it is very harmful process of keeping the pest away. पेस्ट आएंगे, फार्मर्स नहीं चाहते कि उनके क्रॉप डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाए, so they apply insecticides and pesticides. But as a grown-up kid now, you know the side effects or the harmful causes of environment by using these insecticides and pesticides. So एक healthy, एक environment friendly way निकाला गया था, that was by using microbes. So one of the microbe used is Trichoderma, which is used as biofertilizers, and it is going to help the plant to keep away itself from root-borne pathogens. So कोई और अगर pathogen tries to invade the plant via root system, so it is not going to allow Trichoderma जब भी soil में grow होता है, it is going to check that there is no soil-borne pathogens infecting the plant. So again, that is going to be a help to keep away the pest जो plants को destroy करना चाहते हैं. So this is a environmental friendly action for keeping the crops healthy. So trichoderma is an example that you need to remember, which is also going to come in your class 12. So do remember this example that comes from Deuteromycetes, the fungi imperfecti. So this was the end for the examples of Deuteromycetes. Now let's see the next topic. Now try to discuss about a few fungal diseases that are asked in exams. So here is about the brown leaf spot of rice, which is a disease caused by Ascomycetes. और ये brown leaf spot of rice जो disease caused हुआ था, that had been a hawk and it had caused the Bengal famine in the India. So as you can see in the photograph down here, जो brown spots हो जाते हैं on the leaves of rice, that is going to affect the production of rice, which had caused the famine in India. Second example of a fungal disease, that is early blight of potato. So you have seen the late blight of potato in Phycomycetes. Similarly, there is early blight of potato caused by Ascomycetes, and early blight of potato जो होता है वो disease में there is leaves that are going to develop small oval brown spots with concentric rings. Concentric rings हो जाते हैं, so you might be able to see the concentric rings. Maybe you can see the white concentric rings. That is going to be significant for the disease early blight of potato. Second is about Tika disease. So Tika disease is going to be characterized by circular, necrotic, dark brown or blackish leaf spots that are generally occurring in the plant, that is groundnut. So groundnuts के leaf में अगर ऐसे circular blackish brown color के spots दिखे, so you can identify that the plant is suffering from a fungal disease, that is Tika disease. So you might have seen the word here, that is necrotic. So necrotic is going to mean the dead tissue. वहाँ का tissue die हो जाता है because of the fungal infection, and that is going to leave the black spots. That is, that particular part of the leaf has been dead. There is no pigment, so it cannot produce any sort of food. So it is useless part for the plant, and it is going to infect the entire plant because of this fungal disease, and in a way the production of groundnut is going to decrease. Now there is fourth disease to discuss, that is the red rot disease. So you might have enjoyed a lot of sugarcane juice. So you might have not seen, but you might come across that some sugarcane have red colored part inside the stem. So stem में अगर ऐसे red color का portion दिखे, so that is because of a fungal disease by Ascomycetes that is causing the red rot disease in sugarcanes. Then is going to be the fifth disease to discuss, that is wilts. So wilts is going to be a fungal disease that is going to be shown because of the blockage of trachary elements. Trachary elements block हो जाएंगे because of the fungal mycelium that is growing inside the trachary elements, यानी जो water supply का जो path है inside the plants, that is going to be blocked, and because of which there is no mineral supply, no water supply for the upper shoot part, and because of that there is going to be wilting of the economically important plants. अगर economically important crops like cotton, coffee, tea, अगर ये सब में ऐसा fungal disease का attack हो जाए, so that is going to have a lot of loss. So it is important to keep away such fungal diseases, and it can be prevented if you see type of diseases in the early stages. So in the photographs down here you can differentiate the healthy plant may how the plant looks, and in the infected case how the scenario changes. The last fungal disease, that is athlete's foot. So athlete foot is also called as the ringworm of foot, and it is caused by Ascomycetes, called as a trichophyton interdigitate, because this fungus loves to grow between the fingers and below the foot. So you can see in the photograph down here कि जो foot है it is not cleaned, and since it is not cleaned or it is moist, kept moist, अगर उसको गीला रखने दिया, so there is fungal growth between the fingers and on the lower foot. So that is called as athlete's foot, and it is because of a fungal growth onto the legs. So it is very important to keep your feet clean and dry to avoid such type of fungal growth onto your body. So by these little examples of fungal diseases, that was to show you how the study of funguses. So you might wonder what is the study of funguses. So study of funguses is going to be called mycology. Mycology is going to be the study of funguses. So people who study about funguses, they study about the structures and their diseases. So that was again जैसे diseases है, so there are different types of doctors, indirectly you can say. जैसे यहाँ पे we have seen very different types of fungal diseases in plants. So ऐसे fungal diseases में there are people who are specialized to treat such type of plants to avoid losses in the fields. So even you can have a great career options regarding these types of disease finding and diagnosis in the plants as well. So that was a little short introduction for fungal diseases. For more such interesting videos, you have to stay connected to Biophilia, where you get a little more information that is going to give you an edge in your exams. So do stay connected with Biophilia for such interesting slides and important content for your exams. So we'll come back with one more amazing session wherein a lot of photographic memory is going to be built up. So till then you have to do a very simple drill, that is like, share and subscribe, and hit the bell icon for the notifications. Till then, keep studying, keep smiling, stay happy. Thank you.